God has been beyond amazing. So the first sort of few weeks, I think I've been anxious about being more involved in doing things at church, and I guess because I've come from a place where I was always doing something, and so I wanted to just have some time with God and just be a child and be a member, right? But then also I was seeking God right before the revival nights about who I am and what He wants me to do with my life and things like that. Um, so then the first sort of week, I kept getting all these, during worship and stuff, God speaking to me about things and bringing verses and scriptures that I wouldn't usually understand. And He was just bringing them to the surface. And I was terrified of sharing it, but I felt like I needed to. And I think it was on the Wednesday of the first week that it was like I couldn't sit still. Until I had to say something, it was like He wouldn't let me rest until I said it. So I think you'll notice if you watch it back, I was just I looked like a crazy person. But once I said it, it was just, I felt calm. But at the time, I didn't put two and two together. And it was really encouraging to hear other people say, okay, what you said really helped me and things like that. I was like, okay, fine, and I left it. And then fast forward, this kind of happened quite a few times, actually. But again, I didn't really put two and two together. Then on my birthday, I think that was end of week 5? Is it end of week 5 or 6? 5, right? Yeah. So that day has always been really hard, and I think I've shared this testimony before, but excuse me, God really saved me from this painkiller addiction. But I think what I did with that addiction was to cover up anxieties and emotions that were really negative that I never really dealt with, but I used that to numb that down. But when He took away the addiction, it was the emotions were still there. I just never learned how to deal with it with God. And so when I'm around crowds or when I'm about to do something that I think I can't do, or just those insecurities, I would take the painkillers and it would calm me down. But I didn't have that addiction anymore. So what I didn't realize was I was using other things to calm that stuff down. And I realized that actually I couldn't sleep very well for the past few months. And I could only sleep either if I've had a really long day and I was just too tired, or taking sleeping pills. But it wasn't the same thing as the painkillers. It was just, I think in my head I was saying it wasn't the same thing, but it was I knew I couldn't sleep without these. So fast forward to my birthday, I had recently just bought a new box. I hadn't taken them for a while, but I was struggling because revival nights is really hectic, and I hadn't slept. And then I come to church, and I'm, going through these flashbacks of the accident, because it happened around the same day as my birthday, and this amazing family is praying for me, and I there was a lump in my chest that I knew needed to go, right? Oh, gosh, why am I getting emotional? I've talked about this before. And I think Freya started this off, this whole screaming thing. And I didn't think I needed to do that, I'm just you pray, God heals you, you get it over with, you move on. But there are some things that just won't go until you do something out of your comfort zone, until you just let go and let it come out the way it comes out. And I think it was to do a lot with pride as well, when you know that God is prompting you to do something weird, but you won't do it because of your dignity, I guess, and because you've never seen it happen before, or whatever it is. The point is, God said do it. And any other excuse for not doing it is just not good enough. So anyway, Tash is praying for me. Now all these other people came, and I just felt, okay, this is a safe place. Let me just let it go. And then the first 2 screams were yeah, they were loud, but I still felt like there was still stuff there. And then the last one really just like, I felt like it was more than a physical thing. That's the best way I can describe it. And the thing with spiritual things is that you can't make sense of it, and you can't try to make sense of it, because the point is that God did something. And since then, the things that I used to struggle with, to numb down or to make myself feel safer or secure, I don't even feel insecure like that about that stuff. It's weird. It's like he took away the need to numb me down, but also took away the things that made me anxious, or that feeling of anxiety and insecurity is gone, which is like completely huge. But the last thing I'll say is the picture that I got from God this past week of the God saying he's creating like a garden around us of a harvest of people, and that we are his children, and we're going to be dancing in that harvest, and in that joy of just knowing we're children, right? And children don't care who hears them when they scream, or when they're laughing or crying. They just, because they know they're safe in their Father's house. And that's where I think God was taking me, and it's been so life-changing that when I, like Ravi, in my mind, you're trying to figure out, how can I make sense of my life? How can I make sense of the future and all this? And it's like, no, just be a child. And then the second part of that picture was that God taking our hand as kids, bringing us to a boxing ring, which you wouldn't expect to see kids in a boxing ring, but then they still win and leave with more people back to the garden. That's what he's doing with all of us. And again, another life-changing thing. And I don't see that as just me. I think it's all of us. We've been so empowered to not care so much about our dignity as adults or whatever it is, but God is changing us so that we can just do whatever he asks. And the last thing, just now actually, I can't remember who it was who gave a testimony just now. And it was like another light bulb moment that God is saying, how long is it going to take you to think through what I tell you before you do it? Because for years, it took me 5 years to do something that God asked me to do. And now it's taking me months or days or hours, but that's the growth. But we can't stay in the same place. You can't wait another week to do what he said for you to do. That's another change. So thank you, Lord.